At New Year's, I was working a triple shift as a paramedic. My parents and brother told my 16-year-old daughter there was no space for her at the cabin. She had to drive back alone and spend New Year's in an empty house. I didn't make a scene. I took action. The next morning, my parents found a letter at their door and started screaming. New Year's Eve is always brutal, but this one hit different. It was the third shift in a row, 12 hours each. Between the drunk drivers, house fires, and a kid who choked on a Lego, my body felt like it was made of concrete by the time I finally made it home. The clock in the cruiser said 11:52 p.m. The neighborhood was dead quiet except for the distant pop of fireworks. I parked, grabbed my duffel, and trudged up the steps to my front door. I didn't expect anyone home. Maddie had left that afternoon for Joel's place. Annual family lake house New Year's. It was tradition. But when I opened the door, I stopped cold. There she was, curled up on the couch, still in her hoodie, her shoes kicked off half-heartedly under the coffee table. One arm hugged her backpack to her chest like a security blanket. "Mads," I said quietly. She startled, turned slowly. Her eyes were puffy, not fresh crying, old tears. She'd been sitting there a while. "Hey," she said. Her voice was small. "What are you doing here?" She looked down at her knees. "They said there wasn't space, that the cabin was full." My mouth went dry. "What?" They said. There were already too many people. Aunt Karen's kids were staying over, and someone brought a friend. Uncle Joel said I'd probably be more comfortable back here anyway. She pulled the sleeves of her hoodie over her hands. So I drove home. I sat down beside her slowly. When was this? Around 7. I got there, and they were all already eating. Like, full-on dinner. Nobody even saved me a plate. I stared at her. "Did you eat anything?" She pulled a crumpled wrapper from her pocket and held it up like a trophy. "Granola bar. And a juice box from the car." She laughed, but it was the kind of laugh you make when something hurts so much you don't know what else to do. I didn't say anything. I couldn't, because all I could see was that she had taken the time to do her hair earlier. I could tell. She'd brushed it out, done that braid she wears when she wants to look nice, but not try too hard. She'd picked out the soft blue hoodie, the one with the embroidered moon on the sleeve, that made her feel grown up, but still comfortable. And they sent her away. I rubbed my face. The anger was there, simmering under the exhaustion. I wanted to scream, to drive back and drag Joel out by the collar, to ask my mother what the hell she was thinking. But all I did was pull the blanket off the back of the couch and tuck it around her shoulders. She leaned her head on my arm. "Sorry," she whispered. I didn't know where else to go. I swallowed the knot in my throat. "You're always supposed to come home, Maddie. Always." She didn't say anything, just let out a soft breath. I waited until I felt her breathing even out before I moved again. I stood, walked to my room, and pulled the envelope box from the top shelf of the closet. The one I kept for letters I never sent, things I wanted to say but knew I couldn't. This time, I would send it. I sat at the kitchen table and began to write. My handwriting was slow, deliberate. No flourishes. Just facts. Dates. Decisions. Finalities. When I sealed it, I didn't hesitate. Because they hadn't just shut the door on me. They shut it on my daughter. And that was the last straw. I sat on the porch the next morning, coffee cooling in my hands, while Maddie slept in. I hadn't closed my eyes yet. The sky was pale and dull, the color of old paper, and the neighborhood was still asleep, wrapped in silence. It was the kind of quiet that makes your brain start digging. And mine went straight back to being 12 years old, elbows deep in my dad's lawnmower engine because I'd taken it apart just to see if I could put it back together. I remember the way Joel laughed at me when he saw it all spread out on the driveway. "You think you're some kind of genius?" he snorted. "You probably broke it." Dad hadn't said anything, just looked at the parts and shook his head. "Don't come crying to me when you can't figure it out." I did figure it out. Got it running better than before. But nobody cared. Nobody even said good job. That's how it always was. Joel was the golden boy. Not because he did anything exceptional. He didn't. But he knew how to make people like him. He could crack a joke, tell a story, charm a room. Got by on average grades and a crooked smile. Meanwhile, I was the serious one. The too intense one. I liked math and blueprints and solving problems that didn't come with a punchline. And for that, I was weird. Uptight. By the time we were grown, the roles were locked in. I became a mechanical engineer. Put in the hours. Got the certifications. Landed a good job. Then another. Then finally, after Maddie was born, I pivoted and trained to become a paramedic. Something that let me do something. Help people. Joel. He bounced around from real estate to marketing to whatever job his wife's brother could hook him up with. My parents still clapped for him at every holiday dinner like he just won an Oscar. None of that ever changed. When our parents lost their house, bad refinancing deal, Joel's advice, of course, I was the one who stepped in. I bought them a duplex. Put the deed in my name. Paid off what was owed. They moved in, rent-free. Utilities paid. New appliances. They didn't say thank you. Not really. My mother did make a point of telling me, well, it's only right, after all we've done for you. All they'd done for me. That line stuck with me for years. Even when I picked up side jobs to cover their prescriptions. Even when I co-signed Joel's second car loan. Even when I dipped into Maddie's college savings to front the HVAC repair they said they'd totally pay back. They didn't see me. They saw a support beam. A pocketbook. And now Maddie, sweet, steady, cautious Maddie, got treated like an afterthought. They turned her away. Told her there was no space. Just like they'd done to me. The pattern was clear. And I was done pretending it wasn't. It had been exactly 9 days since the lake house disaster. Maddie hadn't brought it up again, but the silence around it was louder than anything she could have said. She spent most of her time in her room, headphones in, sketchbook open on her lap. Not hiding exactly, but not quite present, either. I'd catch her zoning out in the middle of meals, chewing without tasting. She was holding it all in, the way I used to. That's what scared me the most. I kept turning things over in my head, trying to figure out how far back this really went. And every time, I landed on the same moment. About a week before New Year's, Joel had called me, voice upbeat, almost friendly. Hey, man. Quick thing. Think you could spot us $1,500? Nick got accepted into this tech retreat thing, coding, drones, all that good stuff. Big opportunity. Real game changer. I remember pausing before I answered. Not because I didn't have it. I did. But because of everything else I was already doing. I can't, I told him. I'm already supporting mom and dad. And I've got my own kid to think about. Maddie's been wanting to take art classes this spring. Joel went quiet for a second. Then he laughed short, bitter. Right. Of course. Gotta make sure little Miss Sketchpad gets her paintbrushes. I said nothing. Then came the real blow. You know, you've always had this chip on your shoulder. It's not my fault you're jealous of Nick. He's got real potential. Don't punish him because you never had it. That part wasn't new. Joel's been parroting my mom's words since high school. He's just bitter. So serious. So dramatic. That night, I didn't argue. I just ended the call. But now? After what happened to Maddie? After they fed her the same poison they once fed me? It hit different. It wasn't about the money. It was about the message. That Nick deserved the opportunity. That Maddie didn't even deserve a place at the table. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat at the kitchen table again, staring at the envelope I had sealed on New Year's. I opened it. Read every word again. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't angry. It was clinical. Final. 60 days to vacate the property. I added a new line at the bottom, one I hadn't included before. All future support has been terminated. Utilities, vehicle maintenance, insurance coverage, and medical co-payments are no longer provided by the undersigned. Then I signed it. Slowly. Neatly. Folded it. Resealed it. This time, there was no hesitation. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was protecting my daughter. New Year's morning, just after 10, the sky was flat and gray, and the streets were still littered with half-burnt fireworks and soggy confetti. Most people were still in bed, nursing hangovers. Not me. I was in the car with Nathan, my husband, driving the 15 minutes to the duplex my parents had lived in for the past 7 years, courtesy of me. I had told him what I was planning. Nathan didn't argue. He just asked, "Want me to come with you?" "Yes," I said, "but I'm not staying long." When we pulled up to the curb, I could already see Joel's car in the driveway. Of course. Nathan parked, and I got out with the envelope in hand. I didn't need to rehearse what I was going to say. I wasn't going to say anything. I walked up the porch, paused, and slipped the envelope under the edge of the front door, angled neatly where they'd see it. Then I turned to leave. The door opened. Alan, my mother, still in her robe, makeup smudged, holding a cup of coffee like it was part of her identity. I didn't turn around. "What is this?" she asked, bending down to pick up the envelope. She opened it right there. I heard her breath catch after the first line. 60 days to vacate, she said, louder now. "You're joking. You're joking, right?" Still, I didn't say anything. Then came Joel's voice from inside. "What's going on?" My mother stormed out onto the porch, the letter flapping in her hand. "You're evicting us? You're evicting your own parents." Joel appeared behind her, barefoot and confused. "What the hell is this?" He grabbed the letter from her, skimmed it. "You've got to be kidding me," he barked. "This is petty. This is vindictive." Nathan stood beside the car, watching quietly. "You're not serious," my mother cried. "We've lived here for years. We're your parents. We gave you everything." That line. It almost made me laugh. Joel came out onto the steps, waving the paper like it might catch fire. "You think this is going to make you the bigger man? What about the family? You're going to tear it apart over one little misunderstanding?" I walked back down the path, calm, quiet. Neither of them noticed that I hadn't looked them in the eye once. My mother kept going. "You ungrateful son of a..." The door slammed behind me as I reached the car. Nathan opened the passenger door for me. I got in without a word. As we pulled away, I could still hear them shouting behind us, but their voices sounded small, far away. And for once, I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. It started the next morning. First, Joel, you've lost your mind, the text read. Mom hasn't stopped crying. Dad's confused. Maddie showing up uninvited isn't a reason to destroy the whole family. Uninvited. That word made me laugh. Quiet and bitter. Then came the calls. My mother left 3 voicemails in under an hour. The last one was a full 3 minutes of breathless outrage. You betrayed us, Alan. Betrayed. We gave you everything. And now you turn your back on your own blood? Over one misunderstanding? Do you even know what you're doing to this family? She never mentioned Maddie. Not once. That told me everything I needed to know. Extended family started chiming in by day 2. My cousin Terry called to get both sides of the story. He opened with, I'm sure it's just a miscommunication, and ended with, well, you only get one mother. Sure. One mother who'd rather humiliate my daughter than make space on a pull-out couch. Others weren't so subtle. Aunt Linda messaged me on Facebook, accusing me of holding grudges from childhood and being spiteful just because Joel's always been more outgoing. More outgoing. Right. That's one way to describe a man who weaponizes charm and contributes nothing but drama. I stopped reading after that. I didn't respond. I didn't justify. Instead, I called the utility companies. Had the bills transferred out of my name. Canceled the automatic maintenance service on the duplex. Stopped paying the car insurance for their aging SUV. Maybe getting the notices soon. I wasn't rushing them out. I was just removing the invisible strings they'd been tugging on for years. Maddie never asked what was going on, but she noticed. She started eating at the table again. Music played from under her door. I'd hear her humming when she thought I couldn't. She was still quiet, still guarded, but her shoulders didn't sag the same way anymore. One night, I found a small sketchbook on the coffee table. She'd left it open. A pencil drawing of the couch, the throw blanket, the corner lamp. It was rough but focused. She was grounding herself again, and I was making sure she had solid ground to stand on. I didn't care what they said. They could rage. They could guilt. They could call me cold, dramatic, ungrateful. But I wasn't doing this to make a point. I was doing it to make a change. For her. For both of us. It was 4 days after I delivered the letter when Aunt Nora showed up. She knocked, an actual knock, not the angry doorbell mashing my mother was famous for. I opened the door expecting another confrontation, already bracing for some dramatic line about family and forgiveness. But it wasn't that. Nora stood on the porch holding a tin of her oatmeal cookies and wearing the soft kind of expression you don't often get in this family, somewhere between nervous and sincere. Can I come in? She asked. I glanced back toward the hallway. Maddie's door was closed. I nodded. She sat at the kitchen table like she had 100 times before, set the cookies down gently, and folded her hands. I won't take long, she said. I just wanted to talk. I didn't say anything. Just sat across from her and waited. She took a breath. I know you're angry. I heard what happened. Joel and your mom have been loud about it. Loud is one word for it, I muttered. She gave a small, sad smile. They said you evicted them over a misunderstanding. Over Maddie showing up without warning. I guess I just wanted to hear your side. I didn't get dramatic. I didn't raise my voice. I told her everything. How Maddie had been turned away with no dinner and no bed. How she drove back alone, in the dark, with nothing but a granola bar in her bag. How she curled up on the couch without telling me because she didn't want to cause problems. Then I told her the rest. The years of being the afterthought. The silent one. The one who showed up, paid up, fixed things, and never got a thank you. How they had always looked past me, and now they were doing it to Maddie too. Nora sat perfectly still, her fingers clasped around a mug of untouched tea. I didn't know, she said quietly. I thought things had gotten better. They hadn't, I said. They just got quieter. She nodded slowly. Her eyes looked shinier than before, but she didn't cry. After a moment, she stood. I'm sorry, she said, almost a whisper. I really didn't know. She left the cookies. Didn't ask for forgiveness. Didn't try to talk me out of anything. Just left. 3 days later, I got a text from her. I understand now. I'm sorry. It was the only message I'd received that week that didn't make me feel worse. By mid-February, I got the call from my lawyer. They haven't packed a thing, she said. No response to notices. No signs of activity. We'll need to proceed with a formal eviction process. I expected that. The whole point of a deadline, in their minds, was to pretend it didn't exist until it did. So I listed the duplex. Found a buyer within 2 weeks. Young couple, first home. Wanted to move in by spring. The only catch? They needed vacant possession. So the paperwork went in. Notices filed. Sheriff's state set. That's when Joel came knocking. Literally. I opened the door one Saturday to find him standing there with a forced smile and a folder full of rental listings. Look, he started. I know things got out of hand. Mom's been dramatic. But you made your point, right? You've shaken things up. Now we're all rethinking how we treat each other. I didn't say anything. He cleared his throat. The thing is, I told them they could stay with us. Temporary, just while they figure things out. I raised an eyebrow. You, your wife, 2 kids, and both our parents in a 3-bedroom? It's fine. We'll make it work, he said, though his voice cracked just a little. Except, you know how they are. Dad's already griping about the couch. Mom keeps moving things around. Ellie's upset because she lost her room. And I'm trying to be patient, I am, but it's been 2 weeks and I can't take it anymore. I just waited. He finally got to the point. I'm asking for a little help. Just a rental deposit. I found a 1-bedroom a few blocks over. Clean. Quiet. They like the view. I just need a bit to secure it. 800, maybe 9. I leaned against the doorframe. Joel, I said, do you remember the night Maddie drove back from the lake house? He shifted. Come on. She showed up alone, hungry, with a granola bar and a hoodie. You were already at the cabin, right? He glanced away. I didn't know the full story. You watched her get sent away. She wasn't sent away, he snapped. We just didn't have room. There was room, I said flatly. There was just no place for her. He rubbed his face. You're really gonna hold this over us? No, I said calmly. I'm not holding anything. I let go. I started to close the door. Wait. He stepped forward. So that's it? You're just done. I nodded. You chose to let her stand outside in the cold, I said. This is my choice. I shut the door gently. No slamming. No shouting. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the one on the outside. Let them figure it out. Maddie and I had already started over. A few weeks later, it was just another quiet evening. Mid-March. Cool breeze drifting through the screened porch, sun slanting low across the yard. Maddie and I sat on the steps with glasses of iced tea, neither of us saying much. The worst of it had passed. The formal eviction went through. The sale closed. The duplex was gone, no longer a weight around my neck. Joel had stopped calling. My parents had moved 3 times in 6 weeks, and the last I heard, they were crashing in Joel's in-law's basement. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. Maddie was beside me, barefoot, legs tucked under her, sketchbook balanced on one knee. She looked better. Stronger. Not fixed, because she was never broken, but steadier. She glanced over at me. You think they'll ever get it? I took a sip of tea. No. She laughed softly. Yeah, me neither. We sat in silence for a few more minutes. Then she said, I don't miss them. It wasn't angry. It wasn't even sad. Just the truth, spoken plainly. I nodded. I don't either. That truth used to hurt. Not anymore. My phone buzzed on the table behind us. One last message from a blocked number, the screen flashing for just a second. Hope you're proud of what you've done. I didn't even read it twice. Just deleted it. Didn't flinch. Didn't roll my eyes. Didn't feel anything at all. Maddie didn't look up. She didn't need to. She already knew. We sat like that until the sun dipped low enough to paint the yard in amber. I put my arm around her shoulders, and she leaned in just a little. Not because she was tired. Not because she needed reassurance. But because she wanted to. We were quiet. And content. And free. For the first time in a long, long while, there was nothing hanging over us. No guilt. No strings. No, be the bigger person. Or, it's just family, echoing in the back of our minds. It was just us. And that, finally, was enough.